Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about chest movements, exercises that help stimulate and develop the chest muscles, the pectoralis muscles. Now the pectoralis major muscle is one that attaches here at the shoulder to the humerus, the bone of the upper body, and comes across the chest in a fan-shaped pattern, attaching to the sternum and to some extent the clavicle or the clavicular insertion up here. Collarbone, for people who don't know what clavicle is. So, the behind or deep to the pectoralis muscle is the pectoralis minor. It's a smaller muscle attaching at about the same point, but coming across and terminating at the rib level. Now, those two muscles are necessary when we start pushing away from the body or bringing something from lateral to medial or towards the midline. So it is these two actions that stimulate the pectoralis muscles. Now, when we pick exercises to develop the pectoralis muscles, we have to understand that it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to stimulate those muscles without bringing in or incorporating other muscles of the upper body. We still want to focus on the prime mover, and in the case of the pressing movements that we're going to show today, it will be the pectoralis major if we do them correctly. The anterior or frontal deltoid muscle of the shoulder is also very responsible for pushing. So we want to make sure that we leave shoulder exercises to develop the shoulders and focus on the chest. We want to create what we call a mind-muscle connection. And the mind-muscle connection is simply that you are thinking and concentrating on flexing and tensing and moving with just the muscles that we are trying to target. If you feel it contracting and you feel it squeezing, you can bet that you'll get the most development out of that muscle. If you go through the motions, just moving the weight, I promise you won't get the development that you're looking for. Now, what weight are you going to pick for your pressing movements? You're going to pick a weight that you can do for 12 repetitions, as we mentioned in other videos. However, you want to be able to do 13, 14, or even 15 movements with that same weight. If you are unable to complete the set of 12 with good form, lighten the weight and continue on the next set. If you're able to get to 12 and feel like you could do 20, add a little bit of weight and see how that feels. Small incremental jumps in weight, being progressive, are what we're after. Big jumps probably aren't going to happen, so don't count on that. Okay? And we are going to start with the bench press.
All right, here we see getting onto the bench, positioning the hands a little wider than shoulders width apart, making sure that we take a safe grip. We'll talk about that in a minute. Taking the weight to arm's length, lowering under control, touching the chest and exploding back to the top. Again, breathing out on the way up, in on the way down, not holding our breath. Notice a nice smooth repetition, squeezing those muscles at the top. Good. Now here's an example of what not to do. We're going to bump our hips off the bench and thrust the weight up. Inappropriate. Crashing into the chest. You notice how fast it's coming down and then bouncing at the top. Bad form at the end. Now this is the proper way to grip a bar. You want your thumb on one side and your fingers on the other. This is a thumbless grip, and the thumbless grip can slip off. So by locking the thumb across the fingers, we can be sure that the bar is not going to slip. Now moving into the power rack. Now if your gym doesn't have benches with the stanchions, you can do bench presses on the power rack. The benefit here is the spotting racks that we can position just below our chest level, so that in the event that we can no longer control the weight under control, and you see again, slow on the way down, control, explode on the way up, squeeze, breathing out on the way up. And again. Now, in the event that we get stuck under the weight and we can no longer press it under control, as we fatigue, you'll see that the safeties can come into play. It's not on my neck. I'm safe. I can move around. I can call for help if I need to. If I'm alone, I could scoot out under that bar and get onto the floor. So, again, safely extricating myself from the machine. Now our next exercise will be performed in the Smith machine. Now the Smith machine is also referred to as a self-spotting machine. We're going to take the weight. Again, it starts at the top of the movement, just like the other two, positioning our hands exactly like before, unlocking the weight now from the top position, and allowing the weight to touch the chest, driving up. Now, because I'm locked into the plane of the machine, I don't need those stabilizers, as we'll talk about at the end. But we're going to drive the weight up nice and smooth, and at any time we get stuck along the way, all we have to do is rotate that bar backwards, and it will automatically catch one of those safeties, and then we're safe. So right here, I can't quite get it. We're going to lock the weight, safe as can be. I could easily get out of there, and I wouldn't have to worry about hurting myself. And we'll reset that bar. For our next movement, we're moving on to a bench press machine. Now this machine actually does quite a few different positions, but here it is in the flat plane. I'm going to take the rearmost handles after setting the weight to an appropriate weight. Notice that this one starts at the bottom. This is a much harder movement because I have to drive from one of my weaker points right off the get-go. So we have to be very careful that we don't injure ourselves trying to get the weight moving. Now there is a little bit of slack at the bottom from where the weight takes over, where I can kind of maneuver the positioning of the handles. Now again, this is self-spotting, so if any time I can no longer make the movement under control, and again I'm breathing out on the way up, oh it's getting heavy, I'm stuck, I'm safe. There's nothing touching my chest. I can easily get out of there. And that would be working to failure. That would be a safe machine to work to failure. This is a seated bench press. Again, I'm still in a flat plane, but I'm now in an upright position, so the handles are parallel to me and perpendicular to the floor. Again, we're starting at a back position, very dangerous sometimes, so we're going to use our feet in this machine, pressing out, starting at the top, lowering under control. Notice how far the weight is from touching. I still have that whole weight. So if any time I get stuck, I'm going to need to utilize my feet to help me, my leg strength, to capture that machine and keep the weight from, I'm stuck, I'm going to use my feet, and that way I'm very safe there. Again, lowering it under control. You'll notice there are two hand positions here. So now we'll go to a parallel hand position, which brings the elbows in a little closer, especially if I have some shoulder problems. I still can activate the chest without really overstretching those shoulders. And same thing, I'm squeezing, blowing out. We're always accelerating the weight away from us, and we're lowering under control. I'm going to safely extricate the machine by taking the weight that way there.
And there you have it, a variety of compound pressing exercises performed primarily in the flat plane used to target the bulk of the pectoralis major and minor muscles. Now you'll notice that the first two exercises utilizing the free weight barbell on the flat bench as well as the power rack require the use of stabilization muscles. Those stabilization muscles were hardly if even used at all, starting with the Smith machine press, the machine press, and the seated machine press. You see, when we utilize a machine, we're not required to stimulate those stabilization muscles. So you might say that it's best to utilize free weights to get the most out of your exercise program. It's even more efficient when you're using dumbbells. Dumbbells using the unilateral properties and are independent of one another really task and target those stabilization muscles. We'll get into that in the next video. So if you liked what you saw today, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to be notified every time a new video is posted, of course, ring that bell. We're now an Amazon affiliate, so if there's anything that you saw in today's video that you'd like to pick up on Amazon, let me know and I'll send you a link on how to get that. So, until next time, I'll see you in the next video.